All right. Welcome to the second episode of the 330 Club podcast. And I'm here with my guest, Kyle Ewers, also a good friend of mine. But we're going to talk some music, talk some different stuff. I know you're pretty much considered a songwriter, guitar player, musician, producer. Like you do a little bit of everything. So
Yeah, I'd
welcome
say
to the
that's
show and
correct.
thanks for being here.
Thanks, man. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. I didn't really have any starting points in particular because I know you have a pretty vast history of being in music. But I kind of want to start like with right now, like what you got going on because I know you do a couple of projects currently, solo stuff, and then you have like a tribute band we could talk about. But then there's a lot of stuff that goes along with that too.
Yeah. So right now, my main original aspect of music I'm doing, I started it back in 2020. It's just a solo instrumental project under my name, just Kyle Ewers, or most of my handles are Kyle Ewers Music, just to kind of promote it that way. It's
Yeah, and
really
I'll have it all in the links and descriptions and stuff too.
Yeah, having a weird last name like that was kind of my detriment, so I kind of regretting that. But I mean, it's fine. Yeah, it's a solo instrumental project. I love movies. I love music, so all the music is based off of some of my favorite movies. It's got a theme. Like I take a theme from the sound design or something in the movie and just kind of structure a song around it. It's pretty along those lines. But next year we got some cool stuff coming up. The next year, the 4 songs I have already done musically actually are going to have vocals, so we're trying something a little different next year.
Okay, so it's just
Um,
kind of mixing up a little bit.
yeah, just kind of get a broader reach, like throw some vocals in there. Not to segue too far off, but you remember my old band, Fear and Grace.
Yes,
When that band ended, I had a bunch of ideas and stuff, and I'm like, well, let me repurpose them for my solo material, get some guest vocalists on there, and
right
put it
on.
out. Come out with we're writing like our own type of story to keep it themed along movies and stories and stuff. So
I want to talk about that because I remember being at one of your shows and you were kind of talking about it in between songs, which is it's a really cool concept, especially because you don't hear a lot of people doing things like that. Or maybe if they do, it's just for one song. It's not like they're going off their whole project based on things like movies and scores and things of that nature. But I wanted to go back to using your name because I do that too for solo music. And I feel like we kind of
yeah,
are in a time where a lot of people just use like they make up a band name.
yeah, exactly. Justin Wilbanks, he's
Yes.
got like his own solo thing, but he's got it under the name of like Obsidian Veil. So
hmm
it's cool. I'm like, damn, I should have like did something like that. But I mean,
I
I
mean,
like I like using my name because it's very personal to me because I love movies. I can do what I want. I don't feel like I'm held to anything. Like there's no expectation. I do it
yeah.
by myself. And when I say I'm a producer, it's because I produce this own music. Like 70% of every song I put out, I've produced myself.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point too. Like, um, I said before, like I take a certain like putting stuff out under my name, I have to claim responsibility for anything that goes with that, with the music. But at the same time, I don't feel like boxed into like when you have a band name, you're like, okay, like when I play for Stowaway, like I know what genre we are, and we're always open to evolution, but we don't like we're not like okay, like this is a metalcore song, but now we're gonna throw in whatever. Whereas like under my name, it's kind of just lives in this box of whatever I want to do. So I don't know if maybe you feel similarly to that.
Yeah, I do. I mean, the first one I did was LV 426, which is based off of Alien. There's a
Sick
podcast.
movie.
I love it. I love the Alien franchise. That was the first one I did because there's a podcast I listen to called Blank Check. They do on their Patreon, they go over like movie series, and they were doing Alien, and I was rewatching the movies just to get prepped for the podcast and stuff, and I had this warm up riff, like the main riff. It's very like synchronized, and I was like, this is kind of something that I came up with this atmospheric bit, and I combined the bit, and I'm like, this is something. It's cool. It's got some like kind of alien like texture in there. And I just thought about like, because it's a 2 minute and 30-second song. So I'm like, I don't want to, which I did do a couple longer songs just to see how it would do, but the shorter songs definitely are way better. So the main thing I started with and what I'm going to continue to do is taking one specific scene or a feel of the movie and make a song on that. So the whole thing is mostly the whole alien chase.
So it's similar to like a score.
Yeah, just for like a section. Like Jason Richardson, who's a phenomenal guitar player. Like his stuff is longer, but his stuff is all supposed to be it's all original music, themed
Yeah.
like a movie. Like it's cinematic. And I like that, but also, I'm not as good as he does, and he gets to do this for a living. So for me, it's like, let me do this. And each song is treated like its own album. Each one gets its own artwork that's supposed to kind of be like a movie poster. Um, each one gets the same care and promotion. So it's fun to do. I mean,
Yeah,
the
it's cool.
last
It's a cool concept.
the last one I put out, Within Cells Interlinked, was the best one I feel like the best sounding, the best produced, and the most well received. And it went back to the basics of like what LV-426, Ex Machina, and Monster Zero did, which are
Mm.
those were like those 2.5 to 3 minute songs. And then this one came out because the ones I did prior were 5 minutes, and they did okay. But you're gonna get less streams on a 5 minute song than a 2.5 minute song.
Yeah, or at least like you'll see the drop. Like it just kind of is what it is with content these days. Like I'll post. I'm kind of new to posting on TikTok because I'm not really like a big TikTok person myself to consume it, but it's a good platform to promote now. And you could see people, it's like I'm posting a 60-second or a 30-second video, and it's like the average view will be like 3.8 seconds. And I'm just like,
I
people,
tried TikTok. I tried it. I don't like the interface. I've tried TikTok Live actually too at the beginning of the year.
mm-hmm.
I'm not really a fan of the interface, and also I own the publishing and everything for my own music through distribution. I use CD Baby. Now I switched to DistroKid because I became an affiliate
I use
from that.
DistroKid also.
Yeah, so I switched to that, and I'm still having the same issue. Whenever I post my own music on TikTok, it gets copyright striked.
That
And
happened to me once, but
there's
not on
no
TikTok.
audio. It's no audio. I get I expect to
Weird.
be copyright strike when I use YouTube or Facebook, which makes sense. I'm glad it is getting copyright strike because I'm getting my revenue, which
Mm-hmm.
is fair. But on TikTok, it's getting muted, and I'm like tried to figure out the problem, and I just kind of gave up on it. And also with legislative government stuff, it seems like TikTok may not be around in the next 6 months or so.
Maybe I don't particularly use it to watch anything, so I'm just kind of going off of like a content creation promotion aspect. I
Yeah,
don't like very simply, I don't like how you open the app and right away random bullshit starts playing.
exactly. I think honestly, I feel like Instagram's become the more superior social
Yeah.
media, especially as far as like my reach is what is. It
Mm-hmm.
used to be Facebook. But my reach on Instagram is much more. TikTok, I tried. And with the legislative stuff happening where it's like, oh yeah, it may not be a thing. I'm like, I'm not gonna, really necessarily invest the time into that. I'm just gonna keep it on Instagram and Facebook and
Yeah,
stuff.
I think it's really more of the idea of like not TikTok itself, but like how people are consuming the social media. Because like this kind of goes back to like Vine, like that was way ahead of its time, but
Oh
it wasn't
yeah, it was.
successful.
It
You know what I
was.
mean?
I mean, I think if Vine stuck around how it was, I think it would have been a way better alternative to TikTok.
I I come from this perspective, and you may agree or disagree, or maybe you're indifferent. But like my kind of idea is, I understand that we're incentivized to make content. Pretty much all people with a smartphone are, and there are like because you're gonna get if you have enough views, you're gonna get ads, you're gonna get things like TikTok Shop or on Facebook, or there are even cool things like affiliates, which we'll get into.
Hmm.
But there are ways for everybody to make money. But just as somebody who wants to get your art out there, like you have to use it just to. So it's like I'm kind of looking at it like, well, I know that it's kind of incentivized to do this for other reasons, but I have to use it to share my art. It just is what it is.
No, I agree 100%. I've slacked on it. I still have it. I still like put it on my socials, but I need to do better with uploading, but it's hard to upload because my stuff gets copyright struck. So
Hmm.
I have a clip of a video I'm gonna try to do.
What do you get, like
For
10 seconds or something before it gets copyright?
uh, mine got shut down like right away, like
Hmm.
any of them. So I got a PRS video I'm trying to do. So I took the original drum track and the bass track and just overdubbed a new guitar layer over it, and the drums were slightly different than what came out on the original version. I added like an extra fill, like 5 bars instead of four, just to throw it off. So I'm gonna try that to see if I can post this video successfully to TikTok without it getting copyright struck and
I
no audio being available.
I got copyright for I did a video where I play a certain amount of seconds of a bunch of songs from a Blink album that I built a Helix patch for,
Yes.
and it's only to demonstrate the patch because people wanted, people on my YouTube channel were asking me for that. And I used MIDI drums and bass. It's not like from the album at all. It's not stems. And I played all the guitar and it got copyright, not like it's a cover, but as if it was their music.
So
Not like,
so it was muted,
well,
right?
they didn't mute it, but like they basically were like, you're playing somebody else's music. So like they're going to put ads that goes to them. And I'm like, I understand that because it's like a cover,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not the whole song. There's no singing on it. And also like, they didn't say it was like a cover. It was like they sent me a thing as if I was playing their music. And I'm like, well, damn, that's a pretty good patch then.
Is it available for sale? You should plug that. I mean,
Yeah, I haven't sold any I know you actually we could talk about this too. I have your Helix preset
yeah,
that you sold.
I sent you the beta one, right?
Um
Before it was available, right? Or did you buy
I
it?
think I bought it early. Like you let me
Okay.
buy it early. But
Oh yeah.
I wanted to
Oh
buy it.
oh yeah. I did the before I released it. I was like, hey, if any of my friends want to try it or whatever, or buy it. I think I gave anyone the option if they wanted to try it or buy it. I mean, it's only $5. So I mean,
It's good. I like it. I use them. The stuff, and I know some of this goes back to like Freak on a Leash. Those are kind of just fun for me because like they're such Korn does such unique things. But some of the just like the high gain ones and stuff, they just sound really good.
does it every patch on my Helix preset is something that I either recorded with or played live with between Freak on a Leash, Fear and Grace, and my solo stuff. Like
Yeah,
I have a bunch of buddies in other bands. Like, hey, I used it at the very least, or like, hey, I'm using it exactly as it is with a few tweaks. Or some of them are like, hey, I'm using it as a template, but I kept like your IR or one other thing. So it's like, at the very least, it's a really good template because I have all 8 channels active on there. So
yeah. Well,
it's a handy tool at the very least.
I know you have that quad cortex. You've used real amps in the past. I know you have an ear for it because we talk about this all the time, and you told me like right away when we put out the Stowaway full length, you're like, "Oh, I could hear your 5150 on the rhythm guitars." I'm like, "Yeah, you obviously could tell."
Oh yeah.
But do you find that like I think plugins and modelers and things of that nature are getting so good now. It's not even about telling a difference. It's more of like a feel thing for me.
Yeah, it's a feel thing. So if I'm recording, I don't like recording with headphones. I've started lately with the new baby. So I I have a couple pairs of in-ears. So I've been
Yeah.
using those as compared to like my Bear Dynamics.
Yeah, I'm with
Like
you. I like monitors.
yeah, I like monitors, but I'm like, okay, this feels better if I'm recording. So if I have to record with no monitors, I'll throw in my West Tones or my Shores or something. But um, as far as feel wise for recording, I don't notice a difference. I've recorded with real amps, I've recorded with modelers, I've recorded with plugins. For me, the difference is when you're in the room. But if you
Hmm.
have a really damn good IR, it's not gonna necessarily.
Right.
I don't
Because
think
like the
matters.
cab is what matters the most.
It is. It's the most important. It's the most important thing. I believe the pickup and the cabinet are the most important
Yeah.
thing. And then oddly enough, third, and a lot of people may not agree with this. I think you might because you've played so many different types of guitars. I feel like scale length is the third most important thing.
I think scale length is important. And again, this kind of goes back to feel. Um, just like you said with pickups. So like for me, I was never a huge EMG guy. Just like everybody else, I've had them in guitars. I've used them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they sound bad. I don't like how they don't articulate to my right hand. Like the sound, it's so compressed.
Agreed.
And obviously in post, you're going to compress stuff. You're going to EQ stuff out. I get all that. But the way you play something matters.
No, agreed. And I hate active pickups, which is ironic because I play Fishman pickups. I don't feel like they're active pickups at all.
They
They're
don't
not.
feel like it. The ones that I
They don't
bought from you
feel it.
are
No,
nice.
they don't feel it at all. Like I'm still on that train of like I don't like active pickups, but then every one of my guitars mostly has a set of Fishmans. But
Yeah.
like going back to like the scaling thing too with the pickups, like you said, feel obviously is a big part of it because if it doesn't sound good, like if you're playing and it doesn't feel good, it's not going to sound good. Now with scale length, and this kind of goes back to when I started playing. I started playing my first guitar was a Fender Squire Strat. Then I had like a Washburn, but my first like real nice guitar was a Ibanez S series that I used
I remember that. Like in
back at
Divide.
yeah, in Divide I was using
Yeah.
that, which is 25.5 inch scale. And
Yeah,
then when
it's
I
a
was
Strat. It's a Strat scale, super
Mhm,
Strat.
exactly. So when I was able to finally afford my first PRS, it's like, okay, this is different because it's a 25-inch scale. But with Tremonti being my favorite guitar player, I always wondered how he does this tuning where it's a half step down.
Hmm.
That'll take the E flat and he'll lower it down to B flat
Oh,
only. So it's weird.
so it's
And
like it's almost no, I guess that
it's
yeah,
almost like it's like a seven
it's
string
a
half
seven
step
string
down, but
tuning.
no E flat.
Oh, so it just skip. I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so
So
it's
there's
on
no
a
E
six
string
string.
essentially. Just it's like a
Basic,
low, your low A, but it's
exactly.
down a half step. Okay.
So when you do power chords, it's an octave
Gotcha.
that
Oh
way.
yeah, yeah, that
So
makes sense. I know because I know that sound that he does.
yeah, he's got that lanky
That's pretty
sound where
cool.
when he hits the string and it goes sharp and then flat and it
Hmm.
sounds wobbly. I'm like, I really like that tone. I tried to get it with my Ibanez, which I did, like just hitting harder and stuff, and I used lighter gauge strings. But then when I got the PRS, I'm like, that's what it is. It's the scaling. And then when I messed around with like some PRSs that are like 24 and 3/4, or even like an Eclipse 24 and 3/4, it's like that. It's even the same thing but more dramatic. It's like that's how you get it. I like that slinky sound. I like the string going
Mm.
sharp and then flat. So obviously him being my favorite player, I like that tone. I wanted a PRS, got the PRS, got that tone I wanted, but also was able to expand on it and make it my own. And I found a home with those guitars. And it's funny because people always be like, oh, you like Tremonti. That's the only reason you like PRS. I do not own one of his signature models of PRSs at all, just because my
Yeah,
taste is different as far as aesthetics and layouts and everything. I love the double cut. So
yeah. Well, and also
I've,
too, like you playing strats. Like I don't know, this is how I am. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. I it's not necessarily like a Strat single coil sound. It's more like the I'm comfortable on that style of guitar.
yeah, like you're comfortable on that bolt on 21, 22 fret.
And having two cutaways, like again, that's not that aside from some of the Mayer stuff or the NF3, it's not like PRS does a ton of Strat type stuff, but having a second cutaway up top does do something different to how you approach.
I mean, if you can see the white NF3 in the back right there,
Yeah, those are
um,
cool.
I think that's superior to the Silver Sky in my opinion. To me, is a PRS that feels like a Strat, where the Silver
Yeah,
Sky feels like it is a 60s type Strat.
yeah. I mean that's by design, right?
Yeah, but
For Mayer.
it's by design for sure. But now they got the tellies. Like I had the Miles Kennedy one.
Hmm.
It's a great guitar. But I have this weird thing, like, I go through a lot of guitars, but if I don't use a guitar and it just sits, I can't justify having a $3,000 guitar just sitting there.
Yeah, I feel that.
When I'm like, okay, let me sell it, I can get something. It's, I don't mind it because it's like I'm not spending my own money. I'm like, let me sell it and let me try something else. And I feel like that's where I've been able to basically play almost every type of guitar through the PRS line. And I feel very versed in that, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of answered all my questions when I was going to buy my first one, which was the SE, the custom 2408 that I have, the green one.
Love that guitar.
Yeah, it's really so I recorded a couple tracks on it. Right now I'm switching out the pickups. I was gonna go with the Fishman's. I ended up putting that in my ESP because I didn't want EMGs in it.
Yeah, that
And
makes
it was a
sense.
pretty easy swap.
But you did
Um
the quick connect, right?
hmm
Yeah.
So that was easy, but you're right, like the scale length, I've always either played Fender type stuff that's 25 and a half. I don't like 24. That's just too not enough for me,
Uh,
like a Jag.
not at
25
all.
and a half or Gibson 24 and 3/4. So that 25 is like right at home. It's easy to play. And I also like it because there is 24 frets. So it's not too short for 24 frets, but I capo a lot too. So like that gives me a full 2 octaves. So I'm not losing to solo or whatever,
No, not at all.
so
You're
that
not losing anything.
that was a big selling point for me because I have 24 frets on a couple of my LTDs, and my EC1000 is a great guitar, but it's that Gibson scale length, and you feel like you're kind of crammed
You're
trying to
you're
get up there.
you're definitely crammed. Like I think the PRS, like the 25-inch scale is like right there. It's right there for a 24 fretter. Like I wouldn't go anything shorter than that. I mean, I've played some other PRSs that are like the 594s, which are like 25 and 0.594, and those are 22 frets and they feel fine. But if that was a 22 fret, I don't, or sorry, 24 fret, I don't think that would be as as comfortable down there. There's not a lot of real estate to
Right.
down there.
Well, you and too, like, I've known you. I mean, we've known each other. I would say we've been friends for a while, but we've known each other through the scene for quite a long time.
Probably over 12 years at this point, I would say.
Something like that. Because I mean, this goes back to like way back in the day, like local shows. And I remember, you've always been pretty passionate about PRS stuff when you started playing it.
Hmm.
So it's cool seeing you like endorse a it's not like, hey, endorse our product. It's more like, hey, I use your product. I'm a good person to endorse it because I'm knowledgeable, I'm well versed, and I actually like love the guitars you make. Would you
That
say
was
that's fair?
there was actually when I because I've been since they started this program, I didn't apply the first year they did it because I just didn't feel confident enough. But the last 2 years I did, and I didn't get it, and I was like, okay. And looking back at it right now, it wasn't the right time. Now's is the best time, so I don't regret that whatsoever. I mean, was I bummed? Yeah, but I mean, realistically, I think now's a better time. But literally, when I announced it, because social media engagement is gonna help get you to it was social media, my playing, and the music and quality I put out there is what was gonna determine if I get on this Pulse artist roster or not. So
Sure.
I literally made a post. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm applying for this. I love PRS guitars. Here's my story. I almost did it like a let me reintroduce myself type thing. And then right after that or before that, one of the A&R guys over at PRS started following me.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is cool. Started liking my stuff and started interacting. I knew he was a PRS rep, it says on his Instagram, but I have a buddy who's a Pulse artist as well and told me, like, yeah, he's the man. He's a great dude. So I was very happy to see he was following me. I'm like, okay, I got someone from PRS following me. Let me make it count. And then once the application stuff closed, um, yeah, I got the endorsement, and it was coming right off of Within Cells Interlinked, my last song coming out. So I was like praying to God. I was like, please just hit. And within a week and a half, it hit over 2,000
There you go.
streams on Spotify. Right now it's at like 26. So obviously, there's that decline, but
Yeah, I mean,
it's general listening right now. But at the time, it hit a good crowd, so I couldn't be more proud of that release.
that's awesome, man. And honestly, like, it's cool to hear stuff like that because a lot of times people either aren't confident to reapply. Like that, you said you weren't confident the first time, but then you did and didn't get it. Sometimes that could shatter somebody in certain situation and just be like, I'm not even gonna mess around with it. And you're like, no, like I got this. Let me reassess. Like you said, you have the hindsight of the time being better. And I think it is good when songs or anything really grows naturally because sometimes these songs blow up and then people forget about them the next week,
Exactly. It
which
was
is not good.
yeah, I mean, it's getting steady plays, so my stuff gets steady. It's nothing crazy by any means, but it's like it's nice to see like you have 100 now. Now I'm sitting at like 118 monthly listeners. When the song came out, I was sitting at 800. Now it had a huge drop, but I'm grateful.
Yeah.
It's still 100. I mean, shit, even if it was just 20 people listening to my music every month, I'd be happy with that. That's enough reason for me to um keep doing it.
Well,
But
yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
you're making something you love and you want to share it with other people, but at the end of the day, it's not like you're making a product to sell to people that you're not passionate about. It's something that you actually love.
exactly. And then
So,
like with the other stuff with PRS, when I got turned down before, like I took the opportunity. I guess you could say I was butthurt a little bit, but I tried some other models. Like I tried the Charvels, um, ESPs, tried more ESPs because I already loved the ESP guitars. So I
hmm
tried more of those. And as much as I love them, they're great guitars. Charvel and ESP are definitely my second and third favorite brand. But then when I picked up the PRS, it just felt home. So it kind of like just justified that. But it's nice to go and experiment with different guitars. And I still have ESPs as well.
yeah, I feel that getting gear or of any kind really, but guitars especially, a lot of times I'll get a guitar and the song will just come out right away. It's like, okay, I'm inspired. Here's this. Great. Let's run with it.
Exactly. I've already written like 10, 12 riffs with this new PRS I got, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, dude. Like, I think I saw you the day I bought that blue Strat,
Yeah, yeah, because
and
you were coming by my place to get the pickups.
and I bought that power amp.
Oh, the Seymour Duncan, yeah.
But I saw you there, and it's funny because Justin was there too. We were talking about him earlier,
Yeah, yeah.
and obviously I could take pretty much any Fender Strat and tweak it and make it work, but that thing out of the box, I just, I did a couple of things when I set it up, but it was just like, here's riffs, great. I have a bunch of new songs on it. Um, I'm kind of learning it a little bit, how the pickups, again, it's a dynamic thing for me.
Yeah,
But I feel like that happens. So a lot of times it's not like, oh, I'm buying gear to get inspired, but I think it kind of is a nice thing that happens.
I agree. I think buying gear really does inspire you. Something different, like the new PRS I got. It's the new 2025 SE model. So I feel like their QC was already great. I feel with this guitar, the QC is even better. And
Mm,
it's got a Floyd on it, which you don't see too often. They've had the Floyd model for a while, but I feel like kind of gets overlooked. But I'm like, let me
yeah,
go ahead and snag one because I haven't had one actually. Um, and then come to find out the fingerboard radius is actually a 14-inch.
it's
It's
pretty
flat.
crazy.
It's flatter than the regular 10-inch that they use, and it's got an ebony board and it's bound ebony too. So I'm like, okay,
Nice.
I could pull it up right here if you want.
Yeah, sure. It's crazy how companies are making like $1,000, sub $1,000 guitars at that quality.
Yeah, and then for 2025, the new PRS Guitar SEs all have the lamp-shaped knobs, so now you don't have to spend $20 to upgrade them.
Like I did.
Yeah, and like I did with almost every single one of mine. And then
Well,
we got
for
the blade tip too is the same that's on the core models too. So
oh, nice.
I know the Silver Sky and the NF3 already had them. So
I wanted the lampshade ones because I wanted the clear.
I love it.
Yeah, I like the clear. I don't particularly love amber knobs. I take those off of all my guitars that come with them.
The amber lampshades are nice. On the right guitar, like I got my Tobacco Burst over there, and it works with it. Like it depends all on the color, but most of them
I think that's the thing
always
is the
go the
finish.
clear. But I mean, this is the new Paul Reed Smith SE Custom 24 Floyd, so this is my first guitar I got as being a Pulse artist
That's
with
got the
them.
it's got like a actual Floyd on it, right?
Yeah, it's a Floyd 1000 series. So
Right, but not like it.
the import, it's not like an off-brand. It's an actual Floyd Rose
Right.
1000.
Because now I think that patent has expired because it's been so many years. So now companies build Floyds, but they're not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I know. I think some of the big guys took advantage of that. Like I think maybe Kaler did, and what's the other one? Godo.
But I think that the 1,000 works just as good. It's just it has to do with like things like where it's the country it's made in.
Agreed. I mean, I like the 1000 series a lot. I mean, it's holds in tune great. I mean, I've been doing a video on this guitar because I kind of wanted to have some fun because when I got my first PRS guitars, I had to basically rely on what I was buying to get the job done. And I did.
Hmm.
Devil in the White City was recorded all with stock PRS, import pickups and everything. Same with Fear and Grace. Those are all stock. Then, when you get a big boy job and, you can have the luxury of swapping out pickups. This guitar, I
When's
wanted to basically just keep it stock. I re-recorded one of my previous songs. I
okay?
did a in the room type of feel with it, like playing it through an amp or a quad Cortex with a FR and then playing it live. And that's going to be the end of the video. So I just got to do the live aspect. And I want to show like, hey, you can buy this guitar for a sub $1,000. You don't got to change anything and it'll do the job. And for me to basically, stay on that and to like practice what I preach, I'm not going to upgrade anything on this guitar except for the locking tune. I'm going to put locking tuners on it later, but
And that's like a
I'm
convenience
I'm
factor more than
I'm
like a
gonna
upgrade.
yeah, it's convenient for string changes. I mean, it's a
I'm with you.
Floyd. I don't need it, but I don't like wrapping
Yeah, same.
around. But
That's why I think all guitars that are at least 800 plus should come with those because companies make those in house now.
I
You
think I think the way PRS does it to keep it fresh, like now they just put these knobs on. I think
hmm
they want to have something to upgrade every so often. So I think the locking tuners will be coming, but with this upgrade that they did with this control package and everything, they didn't even raise the prices at all.
Well, I will say too, um, not to self-promote too much, but when this podcast launches, I'll have a new song out,
Oh, sweet.
and that will come out. So we're talking on Monday. This will come out next Tuesday. So it comes out for us, this upcoming Friday. If you're listening to this podcast, it's out. But I did that entire song with only that green. It's the Ezra Verde is the color, but the green, I say green.
Is that
PRS Custom 2408. I use that for all of the guitar tracks, and I use plugins.
that was with the stock pickups, right?
Stock, yeah, that's what I meant to say.
I think you sent me that before, right? I think maybe an
Uh,
early stage demo. I know we sent
yeah,
stuff back and
it
forth.
wasn't the final mix, but essentially the reason I bring that up too is because I did some kind of cleans on it. I did like a crunchy kind of verse. I did heavier like rhythm section for choruses. I have leads. There's a couple solos. Like there's a lot of guitars on that song that are different tones. And I didn't have to grab anything else. I just kept, okay, let me try this pickup combo.
You can do it with these pickups. I mean,
Yeah.
when we talked about feel, the reason why I go to Fishman Fluence is because, okay, this feels good, and I don't have to push much gain or much overdrive on my that. So for me, it's just a feel aspect. For this, yeah, I got to crank up the gain and the overdrive, but I would put it against my Fishman still, and I'm doing that in this video. And honestly, this neck pickup, it's a 8515, so it's the same as what's in yours, except you had the TCI switch portion. This neck pickup is great for cleans.
Yeah. I only switched them out. I don't think that they sound bad. I think they sound good. My thing is more of like the way that again, it's a right-handed thing. The way that I palm mute and really sit on the bridge is such like a pop punk, I come from that kind of playing style. And there's like a certain bottom end response that I like. It's very tight. And growing up, I was throwing like JBs and everything. And
JBs are great.
Those and like Invaders are like what I grew up playing and a couple other things. I got into changing pickups really young though. So that probably ruined me. I was like 15 and I was ripping good pickups out of my guitars.
I had the Ibanez, and my dad was like, "Oh, let's try some new pickup stuff." Like it was when we had the Ibanez, it was a project me and him would do. So like I had a dime bucker in.
I remember that.
I had a dime bucker in the bridge and an Invader in the neck, and it was such a great combo. I still have the guitars at my parents' house. It's hanging up in the wall. My dad wanted it as like a memory thing, and it's retired, so it's like just sitting there.
That was a Divide guitar, right? The S series.
That's what I call it, the Divide guitar. It's literally
that's what I would just from seeing you guys play so many times and playing with you. I remember because I was like, I remember watching and being like, that guy's got an Invader in the neck. That's pretty sick. The only people I see do that, it's like Sinister Gates.
I didn't even know that was Sinister Gates pickup when I did it. I think
right. No, I just mean like not a lot of people use it in the neck.
It's just funny because my guitar player now in my Breaking Benjamin tribute, DJ, he's a big Sinister Gates guy, and like he pointed that out to me back in the day. He's like, "That's a Sinister Gates pickup." I'm like, "No, it's an Invader." He's like, "No, it's Sinister Gates." I'm like, "No, you're wrong." And then I'm like, "Oh no, you're right."
Well, I remember somebody because those are what are in the Tom DeLonge Strats,
which is insane.
Yeah,
so insane.
So I've had that guitar since I was like in high school. And I was playing like a Metallica riff, and they said like, "Why are you playing Metallica on that guitar?" And I'm like, "Well, James Hetfield was using those before EMGs."
He was.
So like, I mean, it's a good pickup. I think, again, like the PRS pickups sound good. I think most pickups, to be honest with you, these days, again, you can get these import guitars that are like sub $1,000, and they're really great guitars.
Yeah, like I'm saying, like obviously, I'm totally not repeating myself. The Fishman's the feel. It's like cool. I like the feeling, less work on the amp and the model or stuff to keep a cleaner tone. This, little more, whatever. And plus, I'm used to it. But this is kind of what I based my sound around all these years was the stock PRS pickup. So when I got Fishman Moderns, I had to tweak a bit to get back to that.
They're probably loud as shit.
They are. They're very loud. And I don't even use the Moderns anymore. I can't because my right hand, I don't have a heavy right hand. I have a very loose. My producer, Evan, calls it a loose, tight right hand.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like chugging on it. So I've had to make up for the low end that these pickups are great for me. But I had to make up for it. So I tried different Fishman sets, and I've settled on the Willie Adler set, which is basically like a hot rodded JB. And it's got great low end, so I don't have to compensate low end there. And then the Mick Thompson from Slipknot Fishman set. That's my new favorite because I don't need to compensate low end there. And they remind me of these pickups. Like in some of these videos that I'm going to do with this guitar, I have the same setting as the Mick Thompson pickups on here. And all I did was just turn down the noise gate on my quad Cortex.
It's pretty incredible, like how it took me so many years to, you learn all this stuff as you go. And then you're like, wow, I'm just learning the physics of sound.
We're geniuses.
Yeah, EQ and everything is so important. And then but growing up, you're like, well, this guy uses this gear, so I have to get it.
I'm so bad with EQ. I'm bad, but I'm good with EQ. You throw an amp in front of me, you throw an overdrive in front of me, I'll EQ the shit out of it to sound amazing. Throw me a 9-band EQ, I'm like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, well, for me, I'm usually like if I'm mixing like a demo, because I do all my I just do pre-production and demos at home, and then I usually have somebody else record me because I feel it's helpful to not get married to the demo and all that.
Yeah, when I send it to my producer, it's the same thing. I'm like, hey, here's the song, tear it apart, give me some notes. Then he'll come back and send me some final drums with like a chopped up arrangement.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you think of this? I'm like, okay, I like it, but I'm going to change a few things up, send it back, and then he'll change the drums again to what I do. And then it's like, okay, either the song's almost done or I need to retrack it again for final tracking. So basically, it's just the drums and the mixing and mastering is what I'm not doing. Everything else I'm doing right here in this room.
I mean, that's pretty... I think that speaks volumes because, like, that's the same here. Like, right next to me is where all my shit is to demo. You can see one of my amps back there.
The good old EVH
that I don't use.
But you have to keep it because that's such a. I mean, when I filled in for you guys on bass, that's such a great amp, man. You can't beat it.
I still use it live, or like if I really want to mic something. I have a couple amps still. I still have my 6505 Plus from like.
Is that 100 or 50 watt? I forgot.
This one's a 50. Which
does it have the Fender logo on it?
No, it's old. It's a little.
So older. It's an older one. Okay, yeah, those are the best ones. The ones without the Fender F right next to the 5150. Those are like the prime. It's like you had the block letter 5150s.
Yeah,
I consider the EVH 5150s without the Fender logo. That's like the new block letter.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has that aesthetic where it's like I know it's made by Fender, and and you could tell because the clean channel is a lot different than like a 6505.
Oh yeah,
but
the non-existent clean channel on a 6505. I was able to get good stuff out of it, but it always had that.
It's got this weird
the little like edge of breakup crunch.
It's almost got this mid range that like you can't get rid of, and clean needs that like high end, that sparkle too. I mean, for when I use clean.
Yeah, anyway. Same.
But that's why I mean, again, I grew up. I'm a huge Metallica fan, so I like James Hetfield's Solid State with the chorus on. Like that's like clean to me.
Yeah, my buddy Spiro Ducius, he's did a guest solo on my song LV426. He's a student of my producer, but now he's a big time like Instagram guitar player and amongst other things. He's insane. But he did a bunch of Metallica tone recreations. Like he's got like the Mark IIc Plus.
Oh man.
He's got the going blank. Evan, my producer, has one too. The power amp they used.
Yeah. The Mesa one.
The Mesa one that they use, I think, on Justice.
Yeah,
they've got one, so they're just like, and they're making these IRs and they're making these crazy, insane Metallica tones. It's nuts.
I got really excited when they were like, "Oh, we're gonna do a Petrucci like Mark IIc Plus," because I was like, "Oh yeah, I can get one." And then they're like, "But we're gonna sell them for $5,000 or whatever," and it's just like, I had a dual rectifier, they're cool, but like, I bought my dual rectifier for $900.
I mean, it all goes back to feel because my favorite guitar player got his main tones in the early Creed days and the prominent Ultimate days from Mesa dual and triple rectifiers, but I play that amp and I cannot get a sound I like out of it.
Well, let's talk about Tremonti's amps.
It all goes back to feel. The MT...
I want one of these PRS amps, dude. I really want one.
So on my quad Cortex here, I have a great capture of the MT100. So all my tones, well, even on my new song Within Cells, the lead tone is the MT100 amp.
Okay.
So PRS amps are great. I had the MT15, and the MT100 is just better. I got to play the real one. I got it captured on my quad Cortex, so I have it forever. I don't need to carry a head with me. The Archon 50 watts great. The old 100-watt ones are great. I
I
mean,
like this Hendrix amp that they do too.
the HDX.
Yeah,
I haven't gotten to play. Oh no, I haven't gotten to play one, but when I
it's a
saw Paul,
plexi.
yeah, I know you'd be able to make that thing sound great.
I appreciate that. I hope.
So
I
I know
mean,
because with the way you play, like you play EVHs, you play Mesas, but I don't know if I've seen you play Marshalls before back in the day, right?
hmm
Yeah, I've seen you play Marshalls, so I know you can get what
I
you
like everything.
you're very adaptable. You're very adaptable in that
Thanks.
sense.
I
Um,
think I just go for like what I know what I want out of it. Some amps aren't gonna do it, but like I know what I want out of it. So like just going back to the PRS thing, I've been using the Archon model in my Helix nonstop.
it's a great model
So
in there.
I kind of want that MT. I might get the 15,
The
that
15's,
lunchbox.
dude, the 15's great, dude. And you could get them new for a decent price. You could get them used, but they're phenomenal. It's the only difference is with the 100, it has more headroom. And you know,
I don't need that.
Tremonti stands by it. Like he recorded 3 records with the MT15 before the 100 came out.
Yeah. I mean, and I could use that live too. Like if I'm playing a smaller built like room, like I don't think people realize how loud amps get.
That 15, it gets loud because it's got 2 full size power tubes. So it's basically like it hits like 40 watts.
Yeah, it's loud as shit.
It's a loud little amp.
I like I've also been wanting Electro-Harmonix did a MiG 50 reissue. I've been wanting one of those. That's just a Bassman though. Again, it's just a
Yeah.
cheaper way for me to get a Bassman. But I also it's so funny because I'm like I want all these amps and then I come here and I plug into an interface and I'm not using any amps
Yeah,
ever.
using. Well, you said you were talking about the Petrucci 2C Plus. Do you have the neural plugin for it?
I don't. I probably will get it. I have the Tim Henson one. I have the Soldano one, but it's not. My license isn't working, and I'm trying to. I don't understand what's
Oh,
up with my
really?
iLock. It's some iLock. Like I think like it logged me out or something. I don't know, but I don't understand that. But
The
that
the Petrucci one's really good.
I'm sure, dude, their
I really
stuff's
like it.
incredible.
I rebought a Quad Cortex because I'm like, cool. There's a lot of my stuff is the Archetype Gojira plugin. I'm
hmm
gonna use the Archetype Gojira plugin. But then the MT100 came out. I got that capture, so I'm using that, but I'm using all the effects from Archetype Gojira.
Yeah, I kind of want a quad cortex. I get there's some stuff that's
It's so cool, man. I mean, I love the Helix. You know I love the Helix. I'm so happy with my patch, but there's something about the Quad Cortex, and I feel you should just call this episode "Feel" because every time we talk, it's gonna go right back to feel
hmm
because we talk about that gap between modelers and amps, and it's like it keeps thinning and thinning and thinning and thinning. I think the Quad Cortex is the thinnest between a
the
real amp and
amps.
that. And I thought before it was the Kemper. I thought the Kemper still had better tones than the Helix, but the Helix had better effects and was more well-rounded for what I was doing at the time.
I won't say what it is, but I have a project I'm doing right now. I could tell you later, but
Sweet.
I'm using. I think I'm going to be recording with a Kemper for the first time. It's not mine, but that's the setup at the studio, and I'm like, I'm going to try it.
Kempers
Never
are
used it.
awesome.
Yeah,
My song Monster Zero is a Kemper.
yeah, I want to try it. Also too the quad cortex again. I don't need other patches because I can make the Helix sound like this, but just for my own satisfaction, I'm like, I want a Silver Jubilee model.
Yeah.
In real life, I have a Blues Driver, which is literally an amp in a box. It's just a cascading gain pedal. It's not a
You could capture all your own stuff and keep it. It's so cool. You can go to a studio and
This amp is not in the fucking Helix. Sorry, but like it drives me
it's
crazy.
not.
I don't know how.
Okay. I don't know how. It's not. They don't need special licensing. I mean, it's not like they're using the name. I heard the one in the Tone Master Pro. It's a mixed bag of responses. Some people say it's great. Some people say it's not. I mean, I feel that's where they kind of. I feel like well, I love Line 6 and the updates are great, but I really think they dropped the ball by not having a proper EVH Stealth or EVH
Something.
EL34 at least in there.
Well, the other thing too that is weird is like Helix is kind of there's a lot of people who use it, but their products have two extremes where there's a lot of people. It's like the worship stuff with lots of cleans and reverbs, and then the metal people.
Yeah.
So you'd think that they would service. They have like amps they make, like that Badonk model is crazy.
The Bedonk was actually when my last few months in Freak on a Leash, I was actually swapped to my Mesa for the Badonk because
It's tighter low end.
I need a tighter low end, especially with using the Fishmans.
Mm-hmm.
I needed
Well,
that, and I had a good mid range response too.
when I had a real dual rectifier, I learned that I learned how to use it, but like I don't think, I used to get a lot of people to ask me like, "Hey, how do you make it sound like that?" And I'm like, "Dude, you need mid range."
Everyone, I remember back in the day, not going to name any names, but certain people scoop those mids
All the way out, yeah.
all the way out. Like, oh, it's like Metallica. I'm like, well, it's in the right hand. It doesn't sound like Metallica.
Yeah, that
You're
and like,
making it very hard to EQ, and then
and you can't hear it in the back of the room.
there'd be a sonic maximizer put in their rig too. Watch, we're gonna get messages after this airs and be like, thanks for calling me out.
Hey, if you listen to this far, thank you for listening this far because, we're nerding out about gear, which I love, but it's like if you're gonna call me out, at least you're listening.
Let's hope we get some angry text messages from some of our friends.
Look, I mean, I think we all had to learn how to do that kind of stuff, and if you stuck with it into your 30s, like we have, it's different. It's like, okay, like, I know why I'm doing the things I'm doing. I'm not just, again, the internet too, back in the day, like YouTube didn't have there was no YouTube when I was still learning to play guitar. There was like the gear page and those really bad forums where it's just people arguing.
Ultimate Guitar forums.
Yeah.
Just watch some crappy tabs that didn't even have MIDI. Just trying to learn stuff, or if you got lucky,
print them out on paper.
Or go buy a book if they had them.
Mm-hmm. I have tab books like from back in the day.
My first tab book was actually a Stone Sour one and a Slipknot one. That's how I discovered drop B tuning, and now it's been my main tuning.
What the hell is this, right? You're reading it going, how do I even do this?
I want to know how I did that because I did that on my Ibanez S series. It was in drop D, then I moved it to drop B. I don't remember how I got that thing to work because I did not get that thing set up for like the first
that's a Floyd too, right?
Yeah, it is. So I didn't have that guitar set up for the first 3 years of its life. I just did it myself, and I went into the recording studio to record the first Divide song. And it's like, your intonation's off. I'm like, no, I'm in tune.
Yeah,
like no, your intonation, I had no clue what he's talking about.
Which is an even bigger bitch to fix when you have a Floyd.
I feel like I've gotten better at it. I still drop my guitars to get set up, but I mean, if it's a simple intonation thing like this, if like the string's going out, I'm gonna intonate it at home. It'll be fine.
Let me ask you. I want to talk a little bit about tribute bands, if you're okay with that.
Oh yeah, of course.
I remember back in the day, and this is quite a while now, like 12, 13 years ago. I don't remember what year, 2011 or 12 maybe, when you started the show that like ignited all of the people, everybody in the scene doing a tribute act
the first
cover set.
Yeah, the first annual and only Cover Your Ass show. Yeah.
Didn't you guys do two?
No, we only did the one.
I thought there was a second one. I remember going to a second one.
No, because Freak on a Leash became a thing, so there was never really a second one in that regard. I don't think we did another one. There might have been a show where, might have been early on, might have been one that Freak on a Leash did where other acts jumped on as covers, but it wasn't the same thing though.
Okay, I remember Corruptor doing Slipknot.
Yeah, my old band Divide did Chimera.
Yeah, and somebody did Kill Switch.
Yeah, that was actually what would turn into a tribute band, World Ablaze. My guitar player DJ Staska, who's a guitar player in Phobia, my Breaking Benjamin tribute, he was doing that.
Okay, so I guess now we have that established. So like when you guys started that, you didn't think that Freak on a Leash was going to become a thing, did you?
Well, I wasn't in the first iteration of Freak on a Leash. My brother was.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Nick was in the first iteration. I think I joined the band. See, that show was in December of 2012. I joined.
Yeah, I remember it was cold.
Yes. I joined in May of 2013.
Okay, so like about
6 months is when I took over and joined.
But in that 6 months, 5 month span, they weren't doing the stuff you guys ended up doing later.
No, it was more so like back when what's it called? Big Shots was called The Warehouse. It was shows like that. The shows that we threw at our old high school, I know they jumped on. I think it was just bar shows like the Fifth Amendment and stuff like that. So once I joined, we were still doing that. So that's 2013, but 2014 is when things really started to take off for Freak on a Leash. That's when we had our first House of Blues show.
Mm.
And then from that House of Blues show is where it kept on going.
So I know that there's like a distinct, I want to say this before I ask any questions, because just so
Sure.
listeners will understand what I'm talking about. I know you will. There's a distinct difference between like a tribute band and a cover band.
Correct.
A cover band could be a tribute band, but like tribute, you guys did the whole thing. You only played Korn songs for Freak on a Leash. You were named after one of their songs, and you guys dressed the part, and you also played like the same type of guitars and things of that nature too.
I didn't at first because I was stubbornly loving my PRS 7-string.
I know, but you ended up
But
getting
I
the
ended up getting an Ibanez, and then when Head switched to ESP, my wife for our like right when we got married, she got that guitar came out and she got that for me as a wedding present. So I've used that guitar from 2017 all the way to my last show in Freak on a Leash.
yeah, the purple one.
Yep, the purple one.
And I would say that most tribute bands that are fairly serious about it, they if they don't have that exact gear, it's something in that vein, usually.
Usually, yeah. I mean, when other guitar players we had in the band, they all played Ibanez or something.
Yeah, I know
like
Jake had the
yeah, Jake
green one.
Jake had an Ibanez. Obviously Mike Robbs has the signature monkey guitars, so he brings those
he
on
likes
stage.
the Apex and stuff. Mike's a big Ibanez guy though.
He was a big Ibanez guy before. I mean, Monkey's his
Right.
favorite. Monkey's his favorite guitar player to
Right.
begin with, and now he's got two of his signature models, and they're great sounding, great playing
As
guitars
long as I've
too.
known Mike, he's been an Ibanez guy, which is cool. They make great guitars. But
Yeah.
I guess my question on that front first is, how is it to be in original bands all that time too, and be doing your own thing and doing all your different projects where it's very you, and then you have to like you're only playing somebody else's songs, you're dressing in that certain way, and you have to give people that performance that they want. They came to see you guys do Korn.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what is like? Does that ever get kind of like taxing on you to have to do somebody else's thing?
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed messing with the effects, and I enjoyed growing as a guitar player because at first everyone would say a lot of people say Freak on a Leash has always sounded good and tight as a unit with members past and present, but
Mm-hmm.
I felt I was selfish as a guitar player back then as far as tones and using the PRS 7-string and stuff like that. But as it went, I'm like, I had to challenge myself, like, okay, I need to not sound like me. I need to serve this even more. So once I started running full helix and everything, I worked on just getting the Korn tone down as best as I possibly could by watching videos and everything. Just like I need to because the band kept getting bigger and it was more serious. And I'm like, I need to do this 100%. And then we had a couple, some lineup changes as far as guitar players, though. I'm like, we need something consistent here as far as tone and stuff. I need to have this template already laid out.
Yeah,
And
that's helpful.
I need to carry, if anything, if we had a member change, there's got to be that Korn sound there. And I don't know if that answers your question or not as far as that. And like,
It does.
It was selfish in a way as far as like being a guitar player, because as guitar players, I feel like we are almost selfish in a way because it's a form of expression and we want our stuff heard. So I think that was the biggest learning curve, but I learned to very much enjoy not sounding like me but still having that feel, but still not sounding like me.
But so
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was like you challenged yourself to kind of step into that role to serve the bigger purpose of what the band was trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and then the band just kept progressing. Like my brother is a phenomenal bass player, but it's kind of the same thing as well for him too. As a bass player, he's not fieldy and didn't want to sound like fieldy. He had a great bass tone in the band, but it wasn't what it was called for. So once he decided to leave and Trento came in, Trento was kind of already on that boat where I was at, like, okay, it's going to sound like Korn. He's got the effects and everything. He put in the work, and that's why the bass tones sound good and the guitar tones sound good. And then once there was a drummer change in Freak on a Leash, drummers are different. Some people don't like the extra bells and whistles. Some people just want a regular drum kit.
Yeah.
The drummer, Mike Prost, that Freak on a Leash currently has, is that guy like, I already have the stuff. I have the electronic pads. So it kind of opened up more. So the band just became more and more accurate. And then Mike Robbs being on guitar alongside me, he was very accurate to Monkey's tone, and I was more accurate to Head's tone. So we found that nice compare and contrast, and Head's tone was always cleaner than Monkey's. So it kind of helped me go back into my comfort zone a little bit.
So how is that carried on to you guys doing Phobia now, which for those who don't know is your new, it's not brand new, but your newer Breaking
Newer.
Benjamin tribute band.
Yeah. So my old band Fear and Grace, as you know, we were doing stuff and then stopped, and we were going to bring it back. We were going to bring it back with me and Dylan on drums still, and then having John, who is a singer from Divide, be the vocalist for the rebranded band. But Dylan was talking about wanting to do a tribute band and do Breaking Benjamin because Chad, the drummer who drummed on We Are Not Alone, Phobia, and Dear Agony, is one of his favorite drummers. So I was
Okay.
like, let's do some Breaking, maybe do a show or whatever. It's like, okay. And then I put out feeler for some other members. We got the lineup together, and from what was gonna be like okay, let's do it for fun, whatever, turned into like, let's do this for fun, but more often.
Cool.
Not like a crazy schedule, like other tribute bands, but like maybe 4 to 6 shows a year. But with Breaking Benjamin, like I liked Korn a lot growing up, but Korn was like never really my style as far as like tone and stuff. It was
Like
harder
guitar playing and
guitar
yeah.
playing, whereas Breaking Benjamin is in my top 3 favorite bands. So it
Well,
was
and Korn's
very
very unique as it is.
Korn's very unique. I mean, and I love Korn, but it wasn't what I was doing when I was learning guitar.
Yeah.
Breaking Benjamin is like what I was
Not
doing.
taking away from Breaking Benjamin at all, by the way, creative wise. I just mean Korn, like some of the things that you have to do to play those songs are very like unique, not just things within guitar playing, if that makes sense.
Oh no, I totally get what you're saying. Like you're talking like a lot of songs on the first 3 records are
Oh, yeah.
off weird
First
time
record,
signatures. It's just weird stuff. No, that is like it's definitely a difference between Korn and Breaking Benjamin, but
no
Breaking
one was
Benjamin,
using 7 strings back then, so they just learned how to play them how they taught themselves.
yeah, then I feel like it's weird. Like they invented that, and then I feel like I'm in another chibi band that did something similar. They took a baritone guitar and tuned it up to A
Ugh.
sharp, which
Oh, okay.
was I don't think anyone did that back then. So I feel
I
like
don't think so either.
I don't think like they use in that regard. So I feel like it's like cool. I'm in 2 chibi bands with tunings and guitars I don't normally play. But I'm not using a baritone anymore for Phobia. I'm like I can't do the scale length, so I'm like I'm gonna do my own hybrid one. So I have a PRS Holcomb
Okay.
fitted with an Evertune,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I got baritone strings on it.
Okay. So it
So
does the tuning.
and it's a 25.5 inch. So I
Right,
feel like
yeah.
that's my
His
makeshift.
his are generally, right? His 6 strings.
The Holcombs are generally 6. Yeah. Ben and the guys in Breaking Measurement play 27-inch scales. So I'm
Uh,
missing some scale length, but I feel like with the thicker strings, the slightly bigger one uh,
yeah.
on the PRS, and then with the Evertune, I think I'm there where it's comfortable to me, and I could still achieve the sound because I take it serious. I take it very seriously when I do these.
Mhm.
I want to get this like I told you, I was selfish at first with Freak on a Leash, and then I got more accustomed to how it should be. And
Yeah.
right off the bat, I'm like, I need this to be sound like Breaking Benjamin, but I need it to be comfortable at the same time because
Do,
baritone guitars are not that comfortable.
do you find, not to get away from the guitars, but just about like playing the shows with the tribute bands?
Yeah.
You've played a lot of different venues between your different bands you've been in. Do you find crowds to have a certain consistency that are coming to see tribute bands, or are they all kind of their own thing?
I think it's consistent. There's
Like they know why they're there.
yeah, there's consistent people who will see Freak on a Leash is playing cool. I'm gonna go, or name other tribute band. I'm gonna go see this band. And there's also the general like, oh hey, there's a Korn tribute band playing nearby. Tickets are $10. Let's go walk up and check it out. So I
Okay.
feel like you got the consistent fan base, and then you have the like, what am I doing tonight? Oh, Korn tribute band's playing. It's very marketable, and
hmm
there's always that divide between tribute bands and original bands. Like my draw for my original stuff is nowhere near what Freak on a Leash is would do because not only is it niche, but people are it's not people hate original music. It's like people are just used to what they're used to. Like they know
Well,
what they want to listen to.
I think just it's human nature that like if you know you're a fan of somebody's music already, you're more inclined to want to go see them. There are cases, and this is kind of how I've always approached stowaway shows, where you happen to be at a show and a band wins you over.
So I feel like throwing a cover in back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't remember if you guys did covers. I know
Uh-uh.
your other band did though, right? The one you were in with. Oh man, what was the name?
My old bands in the past have like
Yeah, because I remember you guys doing covers. What was your band you were in? During
I was at
Another Hole in the Wall Jays.
well I was in
It's
Set Sail with like
Set Sail.
Darren and
Set Sail.
everybody.
Because you guys did a cover or a
We
couple
did a
covers,
Katy
right?
Perry cover for
That's right. You
some.
did the. I feel like that's what was very important for us to do covers back then because it got the attention. When people go out on a Saturday night, they want to hear something they're familiar with and they're used to because they know they're going to have a good time. And
Yeah,
that's where tribute bands and original music is different. They're both different animals. I don't think tribute bands are killing original music.
I don't
If
either.
anything, tribute bands are keeping these venues open
Yeah,
for
no,
original bands to play.
I
And this
agree.
is
I think it's a good thing.
firsthand experience from being in a successful tribute band, seeing
Hmm.
what like we would get our guarantee, which would be decent chunk of money, and then the promoter would be like, the bar did XYZ, the door did this, the staff got this, the tips were great. You're keeping it open,
Hmm.
and without venues, where's the original band supposed to play? I know there's the DIY stuff, and the DIY stuff is great, but I think we need to keep the good bars, the good venues, the places with the good PAs open.
Yeah.
And I know original bands work hard, but you just I feel like you have to work even harder than before. And me, I'm up for the challenge, even though I'm in such a niche genre of what I'm doing at the moment, but I don't mind the challenge.
Well, I think that there's also so much competition with social media where it's like, yeah, I'm on Spotify, like you could find any of my music or my bands, but there's also every other band and they all have videos and they all have all this different stuff behind them because they're more established or they've, they put in the work to build a fan base, but like it's not like how back in the day you couldn't use the phone when you're on the internet, so you're not on the internet on
Uh,
your phone all day, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna go out and actually do something outside of my house, and then it's like, oh, there's a show going on. Like I used to go to local shows growing up to hang out with my friends, not just because of who was
yeah.
playing.
Yeah, like back in the Eagles, you probably went to
Hmm.
the Eagles to go hang out
Yeah,
with
and,
everybody.
and I being like coming from like skate punk and pop punk and stuff, a lot of that music wasn't super popular when I was starting to play shows or go to shows. So I would go to everything because like the metal shows kind of had that hardcore element to them.
Hmm.
And then the pop punk, it was kind of more like emo, like whatever kind of pop punk was, had neon, whatever they want to call it back then. But then there'd be some cool bands that would come through and people were just generally hanging out. And you might see people that weren't really like in the scene, but they would still go to the shows.
Yeah,
People
because
from your high school or whatever.
it's same with Another Hole in the Wall when that
Hmm.
venue was open. That's like what you're saying is what our case was. I was just graduating when that opened up, but my brother being 3 years younger, I still had friends that were in high school through him. So it was like the place to go hang out. Like, oh hey, there's a show going on. Who's playing? Okay, well, some people were like, I don't care, I just want to go hang out. Or some people were like, yeah, let's go see this band.
Yeah, we
And I
played
feel like
there a lot when I was I think I was a senior in high school.
yeah, like I'm 33 right now.
Yeah, I'm 32, so you're a
Yeah,
year
we're
older than me.
just a year apart. I
So,
mean, I feel like we're missing I feel like social media has done it too, where kids, you know how they talk about like kids don't go outside anymore, and
mhm.
me being a parent, it's it's true. Kids don't go outside anymore. I mean, my son loves going outside and playing and stuff, but I mean, he's just gonna go. I mean, I don't know if COVID had anything to do with this too.
I would imagine.
He was 2 when COVID happened, like 2 to 3 when everything was shut down. So
Hmm.
he'd rather just play his Switch and stuff. But I just don't feel like kids go outside as much anymore, and that translates to they don't go out of the house to do stuff. I mean, probably just sitting on their phones talking on a group chat all day, doing something. I mean, even look at movie theaters. Movie theaters are declining heavily. And when I don't know if you used to do this, like me and my friends, we would go hang out at the movie theaters. We go to the
We used to
mall,
go
and
every
these are all
weekend.
yeah, these are all places that are declining. The box office is at all-time low. Malls. Did you know the Taco Bell closed over at
Hmm.
The mall. I walked in.
Rent's too high.
Yeah, we went over there. My wife wanted to get some clothes and walked over there. I'm like, cool, get some Taco Bell, and I'm like, devastated that it's closed.
Bummer.
I'm like, how
Bummer.
do
I
you?
have to drive 2 miles past Target now to go get Taco Bell.
I'm like, how do you lose a Taco Bell?
Rent.
It's nuts.
Let me just throw this out there too, like
Yeah.
just to piggyback on that. So I'm from Crown Point, so obviously
Mhm.
like I don't know if you remember the band Asteria.
Oh yeah, I do.
And so like they were very popular in Crown Point, and like I love going to shows, and I've gotten to know those guys, and obviously like they have the studios now. So they're different realms still working in in music, but um I would see them post on MySpace like show tomorrow night, just announce it. Show tomorrow night at this place starts at this time, and 400 kids would show up, and it was like because kids who weren't necessarily in the music scene, that kind of music is obviously a lot more palatable to a general audience than like metalcore.
I think
You
that's
know,
how the old Mojos was too. The very, very first one in Orland Park.
yeah, and
Same thing.
kids would come, and like I remember one time they did it was like a secret show where you had to like get the address from them somehow, and the first 200 people got in. It was at a like a VFW. It was packed.
Cool. You can't do that anymore. That's such a cool thing. Like I remember I went with my ex years and years and years ago, like talking high school. I think from first to last did a surprise pop-up show at that Mojo's,
Yeah,
and we made it happen, and we made it, and we went. And it was like, that's cool. You can't do that anymore. It's like, I don't know. You could blame it on a lot of things, but I feel what it comes down to is people just don't necessarily like
and
going out anymore.
I agree with you because I don't think that, again, not to get all crazy with like stats, but if you look at the numbers for the sales of guitars and music gear, while people were in the lock-in, but then even afterwards, like more people are playing guitar now than ever. They're just doing it on YouTube.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, as far as stats, I'm a big I'm a big stats guy, so I'm always throwing stuff like that. Like I pay attention to all that stuff. It's like just I don't know,
Yeah,
it's one of the things I like to do.
the numbers suggest just talking about music sales, which is not CDs, but like music gear sales. And there's more companies now than ever, and people are doing pedal companies, and the people are making plugins and IRs. And you and I do different types of content that's music related, that's not just about our projects.
Yeah, so it's kind of
So
all over thing. Like I'm doing my solo stuff, I'm doing the tribute stuff, and then being a PRS Pulse artist, I've always promoted PRS guitars. Now I'm gonna do some more content to get these guitars in people's hands. Like right now, you could get a PRS guitar SE. Most of them are all 15% off for the holidays.
yeah, they do
So
really good sales at this time.
you can get a really high end SE for $600. That would normally be about $800.
And I could say this as somebody who's not endorsed or it has no affiliation with them. Just I purchased one guitar from them. It's maybe $900, $1,000. The one that I got, I don't remember, but that competes with stuff I've owned that are in much higher price markets like Gibsons and more expensive Fenders and stuff like.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
the
like
more expensive LTDs too.
yeah, it's not just the budget thing. It's like they
It's quality.
hmm
Like
so
this guitar's got nice rolled fretboard edges. There's nothing wrong with their fretboard. The
that is
Floyd had a
something
perfect
actually.
flow.
That's a good point to hammer. The quality of the fretwork on mine is incredible.
Fretwork is for me, fretwork is the make or break. If this guitar has a little smudge in the finish or like right where the neck pocket is, I don't give a crap about that. That's just all aesthetic at the end of the day. You do have to realize this is overseas. They're making multiples of these a day.
Yeah,
So but for as far as being production, it's crazy. I mean, look at this color.
that is
Like
a
this is I sold um my satin version of this, which was a CE model. I sold it because I mean I don't know why I don't like satin guitars, but I really like this color. Now they have it in a gloss and a more affordable version,
yeah. I like gloss
and
too.
this thing is yeah, it's
What's that finish called?
this is charcoal cherry burst. So you got
That's definitely what it is.
the PRS charcoal, then you got the
Mhm.
cherry burst, and then on the back is
It's
finished
red.
all red. So
Oh, it's sick.
here's a weird thing on this dude. So it's a plain maple cap with the veneer, right?
hmm
If you could see this. Do you see there's actually flame on this? I don't know if the veneer bled over or if this plain maple actually was flamed on one part.
I think that there's
Kind
a
of weird. I
certain
don't know if kind of weird.
There's like
It's
a
nice though.
inconsistency sometimes with people because you think it's all veneers, but they just get sent stuff, and sometimes there's more in it.
Yeah, because all the PRS SEs, you got the mahogany body or ash body, whatever body would. And
Hmm.
if you're getting a one that says custom on it, you're getting an actual maple top. And then you're
Yes.
getting a veneer just to make it look. So you're getting, there's a whole tone wood debate, but you're realistically getting the tone wood that you want, and the veneer just looks nice. Like the ESP E2s, what bothers me about it is those guitars are $4,000 and they don't even put a real top on it.
Hmm.
It's a veneer.
I think one of the coolest things about the one that I bought for me, it's mahogany. It's got the maple cap, like you just said, but I love the natural finish on the back because the
I love
contrast
it.
of having
I
that
love
kind
it.
of bright green flame. It's a little busy. It's a lot. I like it. I wanted green, but then you go to the side and you could see it looks like it's bound on the body because you can see the maple cap,
Hmm.
and then you can see the mahogany. I'm like, that's a beautiful looking instrument.
It is. I mean, the Ereza Verde color is phenomenal. I like the natural backs on a lot of these. This one doesn't, I mean, because it probably wouldn't look necessarily the best, but do we have any? I don't have any with natural backs at the moment, but I have, and I actually no, I do.
As he reaches over, there's another PRS just sitting there.
This is
There you
my
go.
most expensive one. This is like my dream guitar. I got it on Reverb. Such a good deal. So it's a custom 24 artist package.
Okay.
So you don't usually get a three-way toggle. You usually get the blade switch,
Right.
but it's charcoal, my favorite. But the
That's what
back,
mine has too.
yeah, because you have the 2408,
Oh wait,
so you got
yeah.
the mini switches in that.
Hmm.
But this is all Carina or white limbo, whatever you want to call it.
That's
So it's a
sick.
one-piece Carina body and a one-piece Carina or white limbo neck, whatever you want to
That's
call it.
sick.
Got the real maple cap on there. You got the violin carves. Now, this guitar would typically retail for like, and I didn't pay nearly this much because you could get good deals on Reverb all day. This thing would retail for like $4,000 or $5,000, right?
Hmm.
But then this one right now is $917. I mean, do you really see
No, I
three to $4,000 worth of difference?
no, I think it has a lot to do with where it's made, which isn't an indictment on the quality by any means. I just mean like
No,
that's why they're
this
able to charge less.
yeah, because there's more attention to detail. Like you're gonna have a guy on that guitar, it's gonna spend more hours kind of like messing with the binding like that. So the
Hmm.
attention to detail is great. But if you get a good import guitar, it's great. Like that's like a dream guitar of mine. That's why I got it. Did I necessarily need it? No, because I could have got an SE version of that. But I mean,
Well, and
opportunity struck and I got it. But I mean, I would be happy if most of my guitars are SEs at the moment. That's the only American one I have. Everyone is an import.
I mean, but they're good guitars.
They're amazing guitars.
What did I want to ask you? You made me think of something when you were showing me that. But I think PRS too, like just like the style of their like business model, they I think they like being known for having, I don't want to say like expensive guitars, but high end. Like that's part of their, whereas
They
like
want it. They have the look. They want it to look that way. That's why they put the name on the SE guitars. They put the cursive on it. Like
right.
they've adopted the imports more. Even
Hmm.
when I met Paul earlier this year at Chicago Music Exchange, we were talking about guitars and talking about feel. Geez, everything keeps going back to feel. He was talking about how PRS feels and everything. And then I brought up, he asked me, what's my favorite guitar I have? I said, my favorite guitar is a Paul Reed Smith Clint Lowry SE. But I said, but to popular criticism, I would be told that this guitar is not a real PRS because it was made overseas. And Paul said that's not incorrect. He's like, that's incorrect, 100%.
Yeah.
He said, a PRS feels like a PRS if it feels like that to you and it does what you want, that is a PRS. So he
Yeah.
shut down that argument. So they're very much they they love what they do with these SE guitars, and you could
Oh
tell they
yeah.
care about it. Like they just keep getting better, but
I think that
it's
they've
nice
put a lot of
hearing
work into them.
it's nice hearing that from the man himself
Oh
too.
yeah.
And then he signed the back of it too and everything. And then he's like, "Thank you for asking me that." He's like, "Because that was a good thing to share with the class."
Yeah. Well, it is.
While he was down in some scotch and some bourbon or whatever it was. He's such a character. He's so fun.
That's cool, man. Um, yeah, I think they make really good stuff. And I think generally you see, because you can look at different brands, like Epiphone is kind of getting the same kind of notoriety for, man, these used to be kind of hit or miss, a lot of junk back in the day, and now there's stuff off the wall. They're like, oh, this is pretty good. But it's like back when we grew up in that era of people having a Squire or an Epiphone or like an SC model, like a really early one. That's a lot of
Yeah.
Tremontis. And
Oh yeah.
people would be like, ah, this isn't any good. And now it's really flipped.
They're just as good. I think, the more guitar players that come in, you have to have a better budget for every level of player. I mean,
Hmm.
back to stats. There's a YouTube channel called 5 Watt World. I don't know if you watch him or
Yeah,
not.
yeah, oh yeah, that
Yeah,
guy's awesome.
I figured you'd love it because he covers a lot of like strats and stuff.
He does. Oh,
But
I watch like every history one he does. They're
he's so good.
amazing.
Did you see his new history one on the PRS SE?
I haven't watched that one yet.
He basically talked about how it's like a $30 million company now, just in the import line itself. So
It doesn't
people are
surprise
buying
me.
these. People are buying these as much as they're buying the S2s, the CEs, and the cores.
I think, and obviously without getting into like economics and stuff like that, obviously people haven't had as much money as they've had in the past, and prices are going up, so that creates hard times. So guitars are often not a necessity, unless you're you
No.
or me, who that's all we care about. But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people who drop stigmas because they can play an instrument for and judge it for what it is, not what it says on the headstock or where it says it was made.
Perfect example, those Harley Benton guitars, and those things play great
Those are cool.
for the amount of money. Like I want it. Like I got my son a little one of those little 4-string Fender Lug guitars
Hmm.
to mess around and play with. I'm like, if he ever starts playing, uh, like I mean, I could always get him a PRS used, but I mean, like I could always get him a Harley Benton too, and it's great.
Yeah,
I have friends who play them live, and they sound great.
and for someone like me, I like to try a lot of different stuff. Like, there's certain types of pickups I like to have for recording situations or whatever. So I can look at Harley Benton and go, man, I'm not sure if I want a double cutaway junior, so I can buy one for $180 and see if it does what I want it to, rather than spend $2,000 on the Gibson one or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm.
If because
It's a
what
good mod platform too. You can just put the pickups on it, and you're still saving money, and you find out if you like it or not. And the resale value, because the things are cheap, you can resell it and still get like 60 to 70% back of what you put in on the guitar.
they're incredibly affordable. And a lot of people are talking about other products they make too, like their cabs that have E30s in them and things like that.
I've heard a lot of good. I think Glenn Fricker did a video on that
Yeah, I watched.
cab.
He got the one that was I think it's a 212 that he got. They make a 112 and a 212.
Like
Um,
if I were to go back to using a cab, I would honestly just go get a Harley Benton at this point because of how much it costs.
it's funny too because like I have a 212. You can't really see it. But I have an orange 212 sitting down here, and it takes up so much less space. Like I still use the Mesas. I love them, but like in a small room like this where I'm mostly using plugins, it's like I don't need two 412s.
No, I might have to actually hit you up to borrow that my old Mesa again if you still have it for a
Yeah,
video in the future. In the future.
let me know. I got two of them.
Well, actually, you let me borrow your other you actually, for the first Fear and Grace video. You let me borrow your dual rack and your other oversized Mesa that you have.
I think I just have the two regular
Spec thing.
size. I think Jake has the oversize.
Okay, it might have been Jake. It might have been Jake's, but I think you let me borrow your dual rack for that
Yeah,
video
my amp is in
back in 2016.
my amp is in the yeah. That's like when
That look
I got that amp in
that
2016.
that looks so good though in that video.
It does. Yeah, the diamond plated. It has. I mean, you and I grew up in that era, and you were talking about Creed earlier. It's funny because it's like Creed and Korn were using them, and then like Blink-182 is using them, and Newfound Glory, and then like Foo Fighters, like every genre.
You know why they made the straight Mesa cabs, right?
Uh, I don't
It was
actually.
actually for Mark Tremonti.
Oh, he wanted straight ones.
He used angles. He's like, hey, I want some straight ones. I was like, I want straight ones that I can stack. They did it and they put it into production.
That is actually really cool. I think that they look great, but I think
They
too,
do.
once they came out with the straight cabs, a lot of people were using them.
Oh yeah,
So
I think a lot of people switched because a lot of people. I mean, because Marshall already had the straight cabs out and other companies had them out, but Mesa just had the angled ones. And I
mhm.
think once the Mesa straight ones came out, I think everyone switched. I know Korn switched.
Yeah, because like being a Blink freak growing up, like Tom had the his were brown with like the tan front,
Yeah, he had
And
the tan Tolex in the front
yeah,
because
and
he was a dual rec guy, right?
he had a triple rec
Triple, okay.
that he blended with a 900,
Insane,
and
so
then he had
insane.
a tri-axis at one point, and he had.
That's that's what we're talking about, the Triaxis. That's the power amp that my producer and
Mhm.
Spiro have
It's
that
got all the
Metallica
Mark
use.
series in it.
Yeah, that's what Metallica use. They have that, and they're making those crazy Metallica tones.
So I did a video on my YouTube channel, and this is really nerdy, but I'm just gonna use it as an example for this.
Yeah,
And it was breaking down Tom DeLonge's live rig in like 0304, because people, I don't care what people use. I think people need to understand how things are used or how they work. You
exactly.
could say, oh, this person uses a triple rectifier, but it's like, how are they using it, or what does a triple rectifier actually do? That's what I was trying to explain. And it's funny that Triaxis does all those Mark series. Well, a lot of punk bands saw Pennywise using Mesas back in the day because they have kind of a metallic kind of sound.
Yeah, they
And they
did.
all started buying them because of them. And Tom has said that. And I'm like, this guy literally got a Triaxis to get a Mark sound because of Pennywise, who wanted to sound like Metallica.
Hmm.
It's a crazy thing. But yeah, like he was using those straight cabs, and then he had 212s on top of the 412s.
Insane. So kind of like Wes Borland. Wes Borland's just
Mm-hmm.
got everything. Well, shit, even Tremonti back in his old Creed rig and his old Ultra Bridge rig, he had two straight and two angle Mesa cab. Oh no, sorry, six cabs. He had whatever. He had six Mesa cabs, and then he had two Fender Deluxe reverbs on top for his clean tone. And now he's gone down all the way to the MT100 for his main rhythm tone, and he blends it with those Synergy amps now.
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah,
Those are.
he's like, I want to try them. So they sent him some stuff. So I think he's using like the Bogner or the Friedman,
I thought
and
about
he
getting one of those.
he blends them. That's his wet tone because he runs a dry and a wet. So the
Hmm.
MT100s is dry, and the wet he just has like a G Lab delay thing just to kind of have a little bit of a wet texture to it.
That's cool. Yeah, those Synergy ones are really cool. I think we grew up in that era where we kind of everybody wanted a ton of gear and huge rigs because that's what was happening.
Yeah. I will say I've never happily owned a Mesa oversized cab. I was always fine with the traditional.
Yeah, same here.
Just
I think the oversized has a, I could go into a whole thing about this, but it has a different bottom end that is almost like, I like the mid punch in the
on the
traditional.
shit. Agreed, 100%.
Because I grew up with a Marshall 1960 cab that I probably, I mean, I only sold it because I had too many cabs.
Yeah.
Like you can't to conveniently have a ton of cabs. It's just unless you have like a warehouse. So
Yeah.
but I'll say though, like we grew up that like that. Now I have a backpack over here with a Helix in it that I can take with an an XLR cable and go to a venue and play a show, which is nuts.
It is nuts, and your tone sounds great with it, and
Hmm.
the Helix is a great unit. I mean, it's so easy.
These modelers have so much consistency and control too, because power and different like your power tubes aren't getting fed bad power from a shitty venue.
No, I mean, I've still played bad venues with the modelers. That's still there's a hum, but
There's a hum.
it's gonna live in the PA more so. It's not gonna affect
Hmm.
mine. So I think it helps out. It helps us out a lot as guitar players to be really compact. I mean, Phobia, the first band practice we had, I ran my Helix through that power stage that you have
Hmm.
through a cab, and then my other guitar players we started out with three and went down to two. They had their EVHs. One had a stealth and one had the regular white one, 100-watt one.
Okay.
Through their Mesa cabs. They left the practice. They called each other, and then they called me. They're like, "Hey, your tone was really good, so we need to just switch to Helixes."
Yeah.
Just after one practice, so
Well,
that was great. And now we run all digital. We run the head rushes if we want our own volume. Otherwise, we're in ears.
what's really great about that too is like I've done with my Helix, I've done shows with Park and Main and with Stowaway, so different guitar players, different genres, different venues. But when both guitar players are on Helix, you can really get together, have a consistent, even if you have different
Hmm.
tones, the levels, run them similar ways, feed them the same power, and then you have a smoother like live set, I think.
Agreed. You can just have your plug in both of your Helixes to a DAW, see how the levels are, and just kind of like save your global EQ settings and keep your master volume the same, and you're good to roll. Makes it a lot easier on the sound guy.
Yeah, because I've had shows where I use this head and then like Scott was using a 100-watt head or he was using a single rec. and I was using the dual, so we weren't matching power, and we had like weird. I don't know. It's weird. Like even though they can get them the same like volume level, like they were not producing the same amount of power.
Like headroom,
Yeah, it
because that's
just
where headroom really matters is when you're on stage.
yeah, and it was like I would have shows where it'd be like, "Hey, we couldn't really hear you," even though I thought I was super loud. And it wasn't that he was trying to be louder than me. It was just my amp wasn't running at the same amount of wattage, and maybe I thought it was fine. And it was. I don't know. I never thought that would be a problem, but I think that like having consistency is a really good thing. So why not
Yeah,
have everybody on the same thing?
I like consistency. Like with Phobia, I made the tones. I think the other guys adjusted them slightly, but I made the tones originally for consistency, and so that way there's no issue. And if a guy had to switch a part, like, hey, can you take this part because I got to do a vocal harmony here and it's harder to play, the other person already had it on them. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I got the tone right here, so I could just swap and play that part instead of you. So it helps in so many different ways. I mean, obviously, like, it's with that being said, nothing beats a real amp, just as far as like feel and when you're in the room and everything. But for ease of use, consistency, and everything, the modeler does beat. So maybe it's, I don't know. It's weird to say that, you always say nothing beats a real amp, but then you give all these reasons why a modeler does.
Well,
I
I
think
think
it's just because that heart were guitar players and just hitting that chord with a live cab and tubes in front of you hits you so much differently.
I agree. I think people also don't realize like, okay, some people have never played a show before or like haven't
Mhm.
done it in a long time. So like what your amp does in a small room in your house, how it comes out of the cabinet and how it hits the wall and comes back, like how you're hearing it is a lot different than on a record, in a live setting, etc. So you're not always going to hear the same thing. And then also too, like you were just talking about the practical logistics of modelers. Like they make it easier.
Mhm.
Plus, you could, you take up less space. You're not worrying about tubes. Like I said, consistency. I mean, damn, Helix's fits in a backpack. Like,
I mean, the Quad Cortex could run 4 instruments.
and it fits like it's very compact.
It's very compact. It's not big at all. I mean, let me see if I could even pull mine out if I have enough room on the cable. Like, look how big it is compared to the guitar. It's like
Yeah.
it's not that big
Do you
at all.
find that the foot switching is like it's not hard to hit the like what you need? Like, because the Helix, I feel like is I feel like the Helix is more room, but I think that that's just my
Helix 100% has way more room. This I have to be more careful with.
okay. That's what
For
I
sure.
thought.
I have to be more careful with this. But I mean, it's something so easy fix for me is, okay, I just won't take like, right past my toes. Like I won't use that. I'll just like hit it with my toes as a way to fix it.
Let
Like
me ask
not
you
hit everything else.
about, and I know we're starting to go long, so we won't go too much
No,
longer, but
I don't care, whatever you want to do.
let me just ask you this. Um, when you were playing analog pedals and stuff like that, when you switched over to modelers, did you start to build those like a pedal board, or was it like, hey, I have infinite capabilities now, so I'm just gonna do whatever I want?
I built it like a pedal board because when I first got the Helix, I was still running my 6505 through my Mesa cab.
Oh, like 4 cable?
So, no, I didn't even run it four. Oh, no, I didn't start off with 4 cable. I did 4 cable later on.
Okay.
I just ran it like a normal pedal board, like guitar pedal board, right
Just
to the amp.
effects, basically.
Yeah, then I started building the amp part of it. So then I used the power amp of the 6505, got rid of my 6505, used a Crown power amp with the Mesa cab, and then eventually just started thinning down and went to the Helix with like an EV speaker, and then now those head rushes are out and they're much cheaper. So basically my main setup is modeler, head rush, out at the front of house, sometimes in-ears depending on the situation,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. And then my guitars.
So like the reason I asked that is because
With some external pedals, sorry. I still use some external pedals.
yeah, and that's nice that they play well with them. Um, I guess like what I'm asking is like it's weird for me, going from like a big pedal guy. I mean, you've seen the pedal boards I had in the past.
Yeah, I have.
To like it's not just effects, it's literally like, yo, I can have a patch that's my gain, and then go to either like a totally clean with a chorus and a reverb, and I don't have to hit like 20 pedals.
That's how I use mine now. Now is how that's
Yeah.
how everything's set up. It's like I have 8 presets right here on the quad, and then hit 8 in the Helix. Same thing. You got your lead rhythm crunch, lead boosted with a gain boost, and then some other weird stuff like an octaver or a phaser
hmm
patch type thing.
Well, and I try not to overcomplicate it because I don't really have like most of the time I'm not using 20 different effects in a song.
Look on my Freak on a Leash.
That
One
one's
of my
different. Right. Well,
that
right.
one
But that's
that
what
that
I'm.
preset was nuts. I'm so surprised I fit the whole Follow the Leader album when we did that live. I fit it all on one.
But that's
I
what I'm
don't know
talking
how I
about.
did it. Tap tempo. The tap tempo feature saved my life on that one.
Well, yeah, that obviously then you don't need 50 delays. But the thing I guess I'm getting at is like that it's incredible because I look at my music differently now when I'm actually creating it because I'm saying, well, I don't have to think about how to do this live because I can do it live.
Exactly.
And not that like, there's plenty of artists who do stuff in the studio and then they figure live out later. They just do it however, that's fine too. But like it gives you like it's not just like, oh, here's a new paintbrush to use. It's literally like, hey, I can use 50 paintbrushes at once.
Exactly. I mean, they hold a lot of room. It's like honestly, it's endless, and it's only going to continue to be endless. These things are going to get more processing power. We're going to be able to do way more with these things.
If I get any more DSP, I'm not going to know what to do with myself.
I ran out of DSP on the Helix because of all the whammy, all the whammy stuff.
Yeah. So like that's one thing I thought about. So I used to use the whammy. I mean, I bought a whammy off you. I used to use a whammy pedal with Stowaway, but like I'll be honest, I really just used it to make noise live.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would throw them in all over the place, and it would be very like because of the right moment. If I'm doing a pinch harmonic or a pitch up or something, it would, it gives that effect. But it's like one of those things where I'm like, I don't think I use it enough to put it in the Helix, except for one. There's one new song I have on a new project I'm doing where I need whammy for the solo, but it's like that'll be its own dedicated patch because it takes up so much space. Same with
Yeah.
some of the filters. I use Qtron on like on a solo on one of my new songs, and it's like it has to have its own patch.
Yeah, I got really good at like managing the DSP on the Helix, and with the Quad Cortex, I don't have to even worry about that because the DSP is ridiculous.
Stop talking me into spending money.
Dude,
I know I'm gonna get one
it's
eventually.
it's if you don't need it, you don't need it. But I mean, when I left Freak on a Leash, I was like, okay, my pedal board was huge because I had the Helix and external pedals, so I had a 34-inch pedal board in a big hard flight case. So I'm like, yeah, I don't need that. So
Also, too, like if you really think about it, the price of a Helix or a Quad Cortex or the Fender, whatever brand you want to buy, and that are at comparable price points, the price of that is like getting 10 pedals, and
or
there's
or 1 amp.
or 1 amp, and it's like, well, you have everything.
You you literally have everything, and then with the Quad Cortex enabling the plugins, you can only use 2 right now. But that's a big game changer that's actually happening now.
Like, what's a Quad Cortex 1700 $1,700, like under 2,000 right now, new?
I think it's 1699.
Okay, so like,
So about a little bit, like $100 more than the Helix or something like that.
sure, so like, but they're comparable.
Very comparable, yeah.
So it's like this amp behind me, they were 1,000 when I got them. I think they're 1,400 or 1,300 now. I think they're more.
The 50 watts, I think are like, I think I saw one the other day on Sweetwater. I think they're like 13.99, 14.99.
So like that's the perfect example right there.
And then let's not forget the maintenance
Or the
on
cab, or
tube
you needing a
amps.
cab.
Oh yeah, yeah, and needing a cab. Yeah,
So that's
it's a
just
lot.
my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, it's a very good gear talk we had here. I mean,
I
I'm
think
not
so.
sure. I know you really said you have no direction on where you want to go with it, but I mean,
I
that was
just,
a
my goal
good
with
talk.
this is to have people on, like I said, I have a lot of friends who do really cool things. Obviously, you and I align on a lot of the music stuff, so it's easy for
Hmm.
us to get into the minutia. But like just in general, I know people who do all this different cool stuff, but I think people need to get to know you guys, not just like what you do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know I talked about PRS a lot, but I think that just kind of falls the line with what's going on in my life musically right now. I mean, I'm an endorsed artist, so I feel like it's a very exciting thing. It's an accomplishment, and I love these guitars regardless. So even if this didn't happen,
Hmm.
I'd probably still be talking about the guitars just as
Absolutely.
much.
Let
Just
me
as much.
let me throw a couple more things at you before we get closer to wrapping it up.
Yeah.
I want you to just like be able to promote what you're doing. I know we talked about your solo stuff in the beginning and all of that, but like, do you want to let people know just like where to check out your stuff, where to follow you? I'm going to put all the links in there, but just so they can like kind of follow up, because I think some people are going to be interested if they know now more of what you're doing with your solo stuff, where the ideas come, and then also if you're a Breaking Benjamin fan, you can go see you guys play live.
Yeah. So you can pretty much find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Just type in Kyle Ewers Music. That's KYLEEWERS Music on all the socials. Should pop up right away there. Same with Spotify, just KYLEEWERS. Same with Apple Music. Just anywhere, just Google that. Should all pop up.
Do you have a
Hopefully
merch store?
Oh yeah, I do. Everything I have a link tree, which I think I sent you the link. So
Yes.
the link tree has my merch, where to stream, my socials, and then any affiliates
Excellent.
that I've gained over the years. So yeah, check it out. If you do get something from an affiliate, it's a kickback to me. Everything I do for my solo project is 100% DIY. Doing the tribute stuff with Freak on a Leash has funded it. And then, just everything else I throw into this project. So my most recent release is a song called Within Cells Interlinked. You could check that out on all streaming platforms, along with a playthrough music video. More new music coming in January. Got 4 new songs coming out in January. Or sorry, in 2025, starting in January.
Okay.
And then we have Phobia. You could type in Phobia Breaking Benjamin tribute on any of the socials. Yeah, we do about 4 to 6 shows a year. If you want to get your local Breaking Benjamin fix on, feel free to come see us, and then follow me. I keep doing some guitar content. I have a couple more videos coming out, and with these PRS guitars and some other things. So yes, check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll share those when you're dropping the new songs. They're always very fun for me to check out, and very inspiring for a guitar player. I'm really into that kind of stuff. So
Same. I love when you release music too. It's just always a good day when your friends release music.
thanks, man.
It's
Yeah,
always a good day.
I appreciate it. I agree too. I think it's fun to see people just creating and like getting after it and doing stuff that they're passionate about.
And especially where we're at in our life, like full-time careers, stuff, relationships, kids, whatever you may have. The fact that we're still doing it, like we held on this long.
I don't know how you guys do it who have kids. I commend you.
I don't know how I do it. I don't know how I do it either. But I mean, scheduling is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me also just throw this out because I like to ask guests, what are you listening to lately?
Right now, let me pull up my phone. Currently, I'm listening to. I've been listening to the new All That Remains song called Forever Cold. They have 4 new singles out that they came out over the year. They got Jason Richardson on guitar. It's the first album they're leading up to without Ole Herbert. Rest in peace, Ole. So I've been listening to that. Tremonti and Miles Kennedy both have new solo stuff out, so I've been listening to that. And my wife got me to watch Attack on Titan.
Okay.
So I've been listening to a lot of this band called Sim, S-I-M. They're from Japan, but all their music's in English. There's a cover on my Instagram of me doing The Rumbling, which is their the intro to like season 4, and it's this heavy drop G song.
Okay.
145 tempo, just like halftime stuff. So
That's cool.
yeah, it's been listening to that. The new Breaking Benjamin song's out. I was enjoying the new As I Lay Dying until all this stuff happened.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
I was enjoying, like, this is some good music. Then everyone quits. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not listening to As I Lay Dying again.
dude, I saw them live like one time at House of Blues many years ago before the dude got in trouble. And I was like, this is one of the best live bands I've ever seen. They're so fucking unbelievably good in every way. And then all that
And he
went down.
doesn't
I'm
ruin-
like, should I still brag about that show?
Was it the one with Mice and Men and Silosis
And Ghost Inside?
and Ghost Inside? Yeah.
Yeah, I got funny story. I was a guest list for that, so I have a
Were
ticket.
you?
Yeah, I have a ticket that says House of Blues, like Live Nation, as they lay dying $0. Like they gave me a
No, that's
ticket still.
awesome.
I'm like, what the hell did I get this for? And they're like, well, you need this to go get your wristband or whatever. House of Blues sucks though, for having guest lists. Not
Yeah,
necessarily
it's
for playing there, but guest list sucks. You have an AA and they're like, you can't do this or that.
as someone who's played there, the guest list is it's hard to even have like your friend or who's roading for you help.
Yeah,
It's yeah.
I've been lucky to make friends with people who are in bands where they bless me with an AA or a guest list, and I'm always grateful for that. I don't take it for granted. But you get spoiled and used to it, and then you
Uh-huh.
go to a venue where they don't put up with any, like they're literally like, you can't go in the pit. You have to stand by the bar. I'm like, well, I haven't what? There's not assigned this general mission.
That's kind of how it is with Seven Dust. I don't think I've paid for a Seven Dust show since like 2015 because
Yeah,
Clint has been kind enough to guest list me, but it's always like general admission, so it's like cool. I get to go. I could go say hi to him before or after the show, whatever. But most of the time, I'm in the pit and can kind of go wherever. I'm not
yeah,
really stuck, so I'm grateful for just thank you for the general ticket, so I'm not stuck sitting at the bar or something.
yeah. And it's funny because like I'll say this, I don't want to rant about it, but um, there are places that give you an all access, and they literally like, I don't want to be around stepping on people's toes. They're like, yeah, go to buffet or whatever, go to catering, and I'm just like, I'm not playing. I'm just here to hang out. So like some of
Yeah,
them that really don't give a shit, and then House of Blues is like, and I'm not. This is not an indictment on the House of Blues. Like I've seen plenty of great shows there. They have an elevator for load in, which is sick as hell. Um,
yeah, in the underground, it's
yeah, it's
super cool.
sweet.
Yeah,
But I mean, because I've carried my fair share of my bass and guitar cabs up and down flights of stairs. But um, right on. Okay, so that I think generally that's a pretty good stopping point for this one. Unless is there anything else you want to throw out there?
no, that's it. So thank you for having me on and getting to talk
Absolutely, man.
gear. I love it. I love talking gear
Absolutely. We'll do
and
it
everything.
again. I'd love to do it again sometime, and obviously, I'd like to do a collaboration as well. So
We've been talking about it. Wintertime is when my work is slowest, so I think opportunity is it's time to strike.
it's approaching. Good. That sounds good to me, man. I'm really trying to stay busy making music, doing the podcast. So I'm looking forward to it. And again, thank you so much for having for being my guest when I asked you to be on here. I really
Of
appreciate that.
course. Of
And
course.
hopefully everybody enjoyed this one, especially if you're a gearhead.
Cool. Thank you for having me, buddy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.